Hello? Okay, wait a minute. Why? My wife comes and send a message. You're supposed to go. Hello? You know, what's happened?
It's a chunk, but also be a quiet say what? I dare say,
besides, friend of friend, I'm so near you. You have not testing messages here. And our officer, so I'm trying to tell you, she says, I
mean, so we a guy man, and may young who could look cry. And to also want a family drilling company limited for Kana.
What's it then? Family Dwelling Company Limited.
Ye two borehole, biofuel, biogas, swimming pool, plumbing works in Nassau, ye be Friday 0240-333-111 and that's 0244-144-822.
Miampa and you want swimming pool on me fee. Me want to will be family dwelling now. Family dwelling.
What fast is your last shit?
Me out with that shit.
Right, good evening and welcome to Hot News. We are live on Pan-African Television. We are also live on Facebook at Pan-African Television, as well as YouTube at Pan-African Television. Let me say a very good evening to all those who are watching us on all the 48 African countries. My name is Justice Appiah, and tonight on Hot News we are looking at the issue of the e-levy once again. It looks like this issue of e-levy it's back and forth. It looks as if it was dying down, then it bounces back again. This time around, the National Democratic Congress has promised that when they are voted for in the 2024 elections, they will cancel the e-levy, and this was made known to the general public by the National Communications Officer of the party, Sami Gyamfi. Sami Gyamfi, on a sister station, indicated that the National Democratic Congress, NDC, will cancel the e-levy when they win power, or if they win power in 2024. And I would love to read that a bit. It says the National Communications Officer of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Sami Gyamfi, has reiterated that the party will cancel the e-levy policy if it wins the 2024 general elections. According to him, the tax imposes hardship on Ghanaians. Therefore, the NDC will repeal it if it assumes the reins of power. Speaking in an interview, Sami Gyamfi argued that government's decision to impose a 1.5% levy on electronic transactions is unfair. Quote, "The General Secretary of the party has already said so. He is my boss. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the party. He has said so, and I believe that he has the blessings of the leadership of the party, and that is a party's position that we do not subscribe to the e-levy, and we will not continue to take e-levy from Ghanaians should power change hands." Unquote. Quote again, because we need to bring honesty to the politics we do in this country. If the e-levy is bad now, it cannot be good in 2025. And I believe that the NDC will stand by that position the General Secretary has announced. I'm even looking for a situation where that will be captured expressly in our 2024 manifesto, he stated. In his view, the e-levy is a double taxation which affects medium of payment. He also reiterated that concerned citizens should not blame the NDC for the passage of the bill into law. According to him, the bill is a tax initiative of the ruling New Patriotic Party, stating that despite the passage of a bill, the NDC will continue to employ all avenues to fight the said passage. Mr. Sami Gyamfi made these comments as part of his submission on a program. The NDC communications officer reiterated that until President Akufo-Addo and his appointees are able to cut down on their reckless expenditure and mismanagement, the country's economic fortunes will remain same. Meanwhile, amidst the growing concerns about the state of the economy, the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, is set. Oh, well, he has already. But then I've been joined in the studio by Nana Piasa, who is a member of the New Patriotic Party communications team. We're also expecting Malik Basintale, who is a member of the National Democratic Congress communications team, as well as the Northeast Regional Communications Officer of the NDC. As and when he joins us, he will be part of the discussion. He will come and tell us their reasons for cancelling the e-levy if Ghanaians vote for them in the 2024 elections. We've seen this. We've heard some of these promises from various political parties. We've seen a situation where a certain tax was introduced by one regime, and then the other regime rather came to increase that tax without, of course, any cancellation and all of that. And so, how do we take such promises hook, line, and sinker and think that those promises are promises we should live our lives on? But well, Sammy Gyamfi has said so, and so we shall wait. If power changes hands, maybe in 2024, let's see if they do what he has actually said. But for now, let me start with Nana Piasa on the introduction, implementation, and approval of the e-levy, and what the other, their political opponents are saying about it. Nana, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening, Justice.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yes.
How is work?
Everything is going on smoothly.
You are looking good. But I understand the reason why, because your party is in power.
No. By the sole grace of God, everything is going on fine.
And in other words, are you saying that you are not benefiting from your party?
Before I even go there, I would like to just bring greetings and good evening to our cherished viewers, especially the MPP fraternity.
Right.
And especially, and most especially in the Tama West constituency, where I am vying to be the secretary of the constituency.
Right.
Yes, so greetings to Honorable Carlos Kisley Ahinkra, my Member of Parliament, and also special greetings to Dr. Sete Jeba, popularly known as Shaba, who is actually watching us right now. So I would like to bring greetings to each and everybody who is an MPP person.
But this is quite surprising. You didn't tell me about your decision.
Yes, it's been a while.
Right.
I mean, Latifa knows everything about it.
I see, my producer.
I'm sure your producer will tell you about it. Yes.
Right.
So back to the e-levy issue. I mean, it's been a back and forth over the period. I mean, government trying to pass this bill, and the opposition NDC has been resisting it and fighting with the notion of fighting for Ghanaians. I would like to first and foremost make it clear today and this evening that there's never been a tax that people are happy about whenever it's been implemented. There's never been. And there will never be.
But there has been nuisance taxes.
There's been nuisance taxes
over the years. One of the nuisance taxes.
I don't believe it's a nuisance tax.
Right.
Because we have had several forms of developmental projects in this country, and everybody knows that we need money to make these projects come to pass. When you talk to the ordinary Ghanaian, they need good roads. We have so high expectations. But we don't want to help government in creating some of these enabling environments for us to live comfortably in this country. I'll give you a few examples. Sammy Gyamfi talking about the fact that they will reverse this tax when they come to power. First of all, they're not coming to power.
I see.
So that is even something they shouldn't talk about.
You have just one
vote. Sammy Gyamfi has one. And he's always had one, and he's been in opposition for 8 years. I mean, going on 12 now. I mean, because right after Renado, we are bringing another MPP government to continue the good works of MPP. I mean, just to refresh your memory.
Right.
Just before our Eswal Mahama administration came in, from even at Tamos's time, we were looking at Kufuor's governance. Kufuor brought in National Health Insurance Scheme. These same people who are opposing e-levy today walked out of Parliament. I remember very well when I was watching television one day, and then Kufuor brought to Parliament the oil that had been discovered in Ghana. These people told us that it was Ajungo, and they walked out of Parliament. Today they are talking about FPSO and all those things. But when we brought to Parliament, they said it wasn't oil. So it doesn't surprise me. What amazes me is the fact that sometimes they lie to Ghanaians because they want to get political power.
I see.
There is no way.
The e-levy?
There is no way Sammy Gyamfi, God forbid, even when it comes to power, will ever come and cancel e-levy. Mind you, Ghanaians are looking for projects.
It is not Sami Gyamfi who is saying it.
No, but
the entire
I read the
NDC
article
party.
you sent to me.
Of course.
And Sami Gyamfi was actively saying that his government will reverse e-levy.
But he quoted the General Secretary.
But I am speaking on authority that Sami Gyamfi said it.
Right.
Well, it could mean the General Secretary also. It doesn't change anything. Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the General Secretary, has been saying several things like that, which I do not agree with him. Ghanaians are looking for projects to be done. Ghanaians are looking for enabling environment. Ghanaians are looking for one basic one factory. Ghanaians are looking for free SHS. Ghanaians are looking for national health insurance scheme. Ghanaians are looking for a vibrant railway system. Ghanaians are looking for so many good things. We are not coming to talk about e-levy as if it is something that is going to kill us. By the grace of God, I travel a lot. Sometimes you go abroad and you look at these nice roads, these nice buildings, this good system that they have, and we all want to replicate them. We want to have these things in Ghana. But these things are not cheap. They are not free. I'm not going to take you far. Just look at the railway systems of Ghana now. When we assumed power in 2016, there wasn't even a single railway line working in this country.
I see.
Today, go to Akosobo, the Mpakadan railway line. I have never seen such a thing before happen in Ghana. We have the railway line even going right onto the lake. These things doesn't come cheap. Railway lines are capital intensive. All I'm saying is that government needs money to execute these projects that Ghanaians are calling for. We came to power with a very good mantra called Ghana Beyond Aid. What Ghana Beyond Aid simply means is that Ghana is now going to raise its own money to fund its own projects. I remember when Kufuor came in with the talk tax to fund NHIS and all that. These NDC guys were on our necks. They said they were not going to allow it. When they came into power, were they able to reverse it? During Kufuor's time, we had banks come to people, come and take loans and all that. How was our banking system when we took over? So there's nothing like we are coming to power to come and change e-levy. Listen, e-levy is going to help us. In any way, if what they are saying is something to go by, that e-levy is going to make Ghanaians withdraw Momo transactions, and e-levy is going to hurt Ghanaians, and it's going to make the government unpopular, they should be happy about it. Why didn't they allow it to be passed the first time it was brought to Parliament? If it's going to make NPP unpopular, and that is what they want, to be able to come to power, they should have allowed it to be passed.
Why should somebody be happy about the fact that a certain government is inflicting hardship on the good people of Ghana?
No government is inflicting hardship. We have been in power for some time. We've had projects. There are two ways of going about it. You are either borrowing to do the projects, or you are raising money domestically to do the project. Now,
but what is the fear of government? Government has already borrowed excessively. They borrowed a lot.
Yes, we have borrowed, and we have so much.
Going back.
Listen. No. You see, we have borrowed a lot, and we have a lot to show for what we have borrowed. We have a lot to show for it. All we are saying is that our debt to GDP now is almost getting around 82%. And we feel we should slow down on the borrowing, because if we are getting to 80 and we are getting to 100, it's going to have direct effect on the economy. So now we have decided that, listen, let us all tighten our belts a bit so that we can raise money domestically to fund these projects that we are talking about.
Banana, it's not just about borrowing. How much have you projected in terms of e-levy? You are projecting some 7 billion.
Yes.
Or 6.9 billion.
7 billion, yes.
Yes. Now, the argument is that
we've borrowed more than 7 billion.
Government should cut down on its expenditure.
If
you look at the amount of money that is allocated to just the presidency, it's something so huge.
You see,
if government is able to cut down on expenditure, we are likely to save this country some reasonable amount of money.
You see, when it is partially true, because when people talk about government expenditure, they sometimes forget the composition of these government expenditures. I'll give you one example. We have what we call the NIA, or the National Identification Authority. This agency used to be under the Ministry of Communication. Now it's an office of the president. So when you see that the office of the president has a higher budget, it means some of these agencies have been brought under the presidency. So our budget will definitely go up. As I speak to you now, government has cut down on travels for government appointees. These are ways of cutting down expenditure.
At what point did they do so? They did so when they realized that you know, I mean, the coffers of the country was actually sinking, and they had to take that drastic, you know, decision. They should have done so earlier. Those were the arguments people were having espoused.
What we are saying is that even if they realize that they need to cut down expenditure just yesterday, it has been done. We had a president in this country who told us that he was not a magician to conjure projects and jobs and all that. We are not saying that. We are saying that, listen, let us all tighten our belts. Whenever I go out there, I meet friends, I sit in taxis, I go out to eat with friends, and we talk about this e-levy thing. I always tell them, listen, I give them this example. Sometimes when I travel outside the country and I'm driving, look at even some of the taxes that we pay, the road tolls. Look at a place like New York, from New York to New Jersey, just about 45 minutes drive. When you're driving from New Jersey to New York, you pay a toll at the New York, just about entering New York, of $15.
Okay.
But when we go to New York, we always go to Manhattan, stand at Times Square, and we are happy to go to Brooklyn Bridge and all that. These people have tightened their belts to do this. It is these tolls and this internally generated money that has been used to develop their country.
I'm not sure when they were tightening their belts, you know, their presidents were traveling in luxurious jets, which was costing the country such huge amounts of money. True or false?
Justice, let me bring something to your notice.
Tell me.
When you tell me about President Akufo-Addo traveling in private jets, I see nothing wrong with it.
Really?
And I'll tell you this because, you see, when we lost President Atamos on the seat, do you know how much it cost the government? Do you know how much it cost us? And you see, when the president is traveling, he does not travel alone. President Akufo-Addo has said this time without number that the presidential jet we have is faulty. Even during ex-President Mohammed's time, there were times that he traveled without the private jet because it was faulty. I personally one time was traveling, and then our plane had a fault. So we had to bring, I don't want to mention the flight. They brought engineers into the plane whilst we were on board. When they came inside the plane to repair it, the whole 8 hours flight, I was very uncomfortable. Just because I had the notion that the fault to come back anytime. So do we expect that our president, the commander of the armed forces, and the leader of government will be in a plane that is known to be faulty? Definitely no. However, the president does not travel alone. When he's traveling, he sometimes goes to businessmen, he sometimes goes to parliamentarians, ministers of state, members of the cabinet, sometimes people from the presidency. So it is not something we can compromise. The safety of the president is not something we can measure with money.
I see.
However, I believe that the presidential travels should be categorized as national security issues. So these things should not even be put in the public domain. These are things that I don't know why the NDC is making noise about. We are aware of members of the NDC who are not presidents, who travel like serious private jets also. Some of them were not even ministers, they were deputy ministers during NDC time. And today documents are out on social media.
What were those documents? I mean, who were those people?
Well, according to Black it's on social media. I mean, I can't substantiate it, but I've seen it on social media. That when he was a deputy minister,
he has denied that.
I haven't heard that.
He has vehemently.
I am only saying that the president's travels should be something that should be classified as national security issues.
I see.
So it shouldn't be something that we can sit and discuss anywhere we want. Because listen, if God forbid something should happen to the president, the government or the country is going to spend more taking care of him, replacing that private jet which was, God forbid, crashed, and several other people who were inside. Mind you, there are times and several times when the president travels with journalists and sometimes owners of media houses. So imagine my boss, Mr. Pratt, traveling with the president. And God forbid something to happen.
Unfortunately, he won't travel with the president. Where will he travel with the president to?
The president sometimes travels to businessmen, owners of media houses. Maybe you don't know. Whenever he's traveling, there's a business entourage that goes with him, not all the time, but most times. Because there are business meetings and delegations that he meets when he travels. So you might never know. He could be invited at any time.
I see.
So all I'm saying is that, or is it because he's your boss, you think he would never travel with the president?
No, I mean, I didn't say so. I'm only drawing.
Well, maybe when Muhammad is president, he will travel with him.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one too. Anyway.
All I'm saying is that we have borrowed in some excess of our debt to GDP is now getting to about 83%. We cannot go on that tangent of borrowing money.
Now, if you look at the Auditor General's report,
Yes.
the Auditor General's report has indicated that we have lost 12 billion to misappropriations and all of that. You are looking to raise 7 billion from e-levy. Why don't we rather go back to the, the Auditor General's report and make sure that we surcharge whoever, was engaged in any misappropriation in order for us to get these monies for the state rather than to have been burdening the ordinary Ghanaian with e-levy, which will give us just 7 billion when we have 12 billion being misappropriated.
I have always said that there is no government under this in this country that has ever ruled this country that has tried to fight corruption than this government.
I see.
First of all, why is the Auditor General not prosecuting people? Why is he not writing to the special prosecutor? Why is he not writing to the AG to get these people prosecuted? His job doesn't end there. He has prosecutory functions as well. If you read the act. So if you tell me that the Auditor General says that some 12 billion were lost through corruption and all that, he should point them out. Most times his findings are pointed to institutions. And sometimes you see, this issue of corruption, it's a collective fight.
It's a trite knowledge.
Yes.
Trite knowledge.
Yeah.
That if you are looking for 7 billion.
Yes.
And you have a certain 12 billion sitting somewhere.
Yeah.
You just need to surcharge people in order to get those monies. Certainly, anybody at all would go and chase the 12 billion instead of chasing 7 billion. A certain 7 billion that will worsen the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian. Why is government so silent on the Auditor General's report? And what needs to be done in order to make sure that we retrieve those monies?
You see, the president as the head of the executive does not in himself fight corruption or does not in himself prosecute these findings in the Auditor General's report. What we are doing is that we are looking for some 7 billion and at the same time fighting for this 12 billion. That is what we are doing. So we are not looking for 7 billion and neglecting the 12 billion. It is a mismatch. We are looking for 7 billion through e-levy, whilst we are also fighting to get 12 billion. We have set up the SP, Office of the SP, to prosecute some of these things. You see, if somebody does not function properly, we always tend to bring the blame back to the president. In our 3 years of appointing the first SP, he did nothing.
The buck stops with the president. He appointed
the president appointed him, gave him all the necessary tools to prosecute these people and get our 12 billion for us. He sat down for 3 years doing nothing, writing articles upon articles and big English, and that was it. We have brought in another person to come and fight this same 12 billion we are talking about. But in our quest to fight for 12 billion, we can't say we are neglecting 7 billion. Because 7 billion is enough to contribute excessively to what some of the great projects that we are doing in this country.
Are you aware that there has been a projection of a certain number of persons who are likely to stop using mobile money should government decide to approve the e-levy just as they've done?
Well, government has already approved the e-levy.
But it is not even guaranteed that government is able to get the 7 billion they are looking for from the introduction, approval, and implementation of the e-levy. True or false?
Well, I think it's partial truth. It's never true.
How is government going? Because that was a projected figure.
Yes, it's always, you see, when you are governing, you always deal with projections. You can never have the actuals. You always project, even our budget is projected. We are projecting that we are going to do this and this and that. Nobody projected that we are going to spend so much on PPEs because nobody knew we would have COVID. What we are saying is that these are projections. People are speculating that because of e-levy, certain people are going to reduce the usage of what? Mobile money.
But that's
but as a good listen, as a good citizen, I am now going to increase the use of mobile money.
I see.
For example, if I have to pay my mechanic now, I'm not going to give him hard cash. I'm going to pay him through the Momo service so that he will be surcharged. All these people are not in the tax net. You see, people are not understanding the wider picture. We are looking at Nana Piasa as one person who's going to save money because I don't use Momo. So we are all individualistic. We are very egocentric. We are very self-centered. But nobody is thinking about the government that is going to produce free water and free electricity when there's a pandemic. Nobody is looking at factories that are coming up.
Free water and free electricity. I'm sure you are very much aware about the COVID levy.
Yes.
I mean, which was implemented
to
take care of that, because the information minister, Kojo Ponkruma, was told the general public that, well, when we're giving you the free water and electricity, what do you expect us to how do you expect
government to pay?
The government actually implemented the COVID levy, which was supposed to take care of that. So if you're saying that e-levy is also supposed to take care of that, then what are you trying to tell them?
You see, you need to understand something.
Let me understand.
Even bigger economies, like the United States of America, are printing money.
Okay.
They have printed in excess of about some $1 trillion into the economy. So when you look at a little country like Ghana, and we are saying that we don't want to print more money to bring in inflation upon us, despite the several hardships we are going through, let us now tighten ourselves by just 1.5% of electronic transactions. I don't see this to be a big deal. People are just thinking about themselves. They are not looking at the bigger picture of having so many government policies implemented in this country. For the first time ever in 5 years, we have children going to secondary schools for free. And people are so people are so quick to forget that few years ago they were paying fees.
How is it that all of a sudden
all I'm saying is that
becomes a panacea for the problems of this country? All of a sudden, e-levy solves the problems of solves the problems of this country.
We are not saying that e-levy is going to solve all the problems of this country. You might be walking out today from this studio and you might have a headache. The first thing you might do is to grab a Panadol or an Alvis. Are you getting my point? The cause of the headache might be your blood pressure. So we are saying that because of some of the hardships we are going through and some of the things that are happening now, some 7 billion for Mumu, so we can use to curb some immediate crisis and problems. It doesn't mean that I just told you now that even though we are looking for some 7 billion, we are still in hand for 12 billion, which is in the Auditor General's report.
What do you intend to use the 7 billion for, the e-levy?
Well, government has done several things already. For me to sit here and mention things that government will be using 7 billion for, it's just a fiasco. I mean, there are several things you yourself can see everywhere. I haven't been in the northern part of Ghana in 6 years. But I can confidently tell you, sitting here, that there's an interchange in the northern region now. You think it comes free?
Which one is that?
You don't know about the interchange. No, you haven't been to Tamale also in 6 years. I'm pretty sure. You haven't been to Tamale. But there's an interchange there. I just told you about the Impakadan. I just told you about the Eco Juice. I just spoke to you about the several of them. We are using this money to expand the industries of Ghana. Several of them. During President Mohammed's time, during the NDC time, we didn't have COVID. We didn't have the Ukraine war. Yet still, we had several industries packing out of Ghana. Several companies packing out of Ghana. Let us take the aviation industry. We have, during the NDC era, 3 airlines. We have the Virgin Atlantic, we have Qatar Airways. They all left Ghana. We didn't have a pandemic. We didn't have Ukraine war. We are telling you that we are paying for free SHS. We are paying for a robust railway line. We are paying for NAPCO. We are paying for free SHS. We are paying for NHIS. We are paying for dualization of roads. We are paying for extended road infrastructure. We have so many things to write home about. We are paying for TVET. We are paying for STEM schools. We are paying for nurses and teacher training allowances. So many of them. So if you ask what the 7 billion is going to be used for, we have several things we want to be using those monies for.
How is the 7 billion, able to take care of all these things eventually?
That is why I'm telling you that. We are looking for the 7 billion. It doesn't mean it ends there. As I speak to you now, your Ghana card number now is your TIN number. We are widening the tax net. So we are getting some more money from other sources. You are only looking at the Momo transactions. We are looking at several other factors. We are looking at some 12 billion from the Auditor General's report that we are fighting for. So it is not what you think. It is not just the little money that is going to be taken from your Momo account when you send